Hey guys, this is Dude Dreamer. Wanted to take the time to talk about one of my all-time favorite wrestlers and entertainers in professional wrestling. And that person is none other than Mick Foley. Now, the reason why he's my favorite is not just because he's a hardcore legend, but it's more on the fact that I love his promos. He tells a great story in the ring. Even in a hardcore match, he tells a good story. And he's also in my opinion, one of the most unselfish individuals in wrestling. And yes, he can be a little bit narcissistic at times when it comes to ideas, but usually those ideas help other wrestlers out, whether they're young or old. And that's what inspired me to become a wrestler. I wanted to be that type of guy that wanted to lend a helping hand to young talent, old talent, and also tell wonderful stories in the ring, and he does. The only thing I lack when it comes to him is the promos. I'm not that great in promos. I tried to be, but when in terms of like telling a story in the ring, he knows how to do it, even through a hardcore match. But there are many faces of Mick Foley that I know a lot of people love, whether it's Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Mankind, and I wanted to take the time to actually list my top 5 favorite gimmicks and characters that Mick Foley has portrayed over the years of wrestling. Now, the only one I'm not going to include is when he wrestled as Mick Foley, because I just feel like him as Mick Foley is pretty much the same as his other gimmicks like Cactus Jack and stuff like that, the way he wrestles and stuff, even though he's just being himself. But I want to talk about the characters where he uses a different name and uses a different character, and each character is very different from the other, and that's what I love about it. So let's start with doing the top 5 favorite Mick Foley gimmick characters in my opinion. Alright, so let's start with number 5, Dude Love. Now, we all know the story of Dude Love. I wish I had a chance to actually watch the original movie of Dude Love that he made when he was a teenager. I've always wanted to watch that, but we all learned about that history with that famous interview with him and Jim Ross, and it was because of that interview that Vince McMahon wanted to actually bring Dude Love to life, and I think it was something that Mick Foley always wanted to do ever since he was a kid. He see himself as Dude Love, as like a Shawn Michaels and stuff. And when it finally came in fruition that he became Dude Love, it was actually interesting compared to the Mankind character. It was actually, I saw a cheery side of Mick Foley that I'd never seen. But it was actually my number 5 because at the same time it was a good character, don't get me wrong, but it was actually my least favorite because I was more used to the deranged side of Mick Foley's, and this was actually something new to me at the time, and even till this day. But as Mick Foley said, he was happy to be Dude Love, but it was actually one of his least favorite characters he ever played, and it's actually mine too. But the one match that actually stands out to mine when it comes to Dude Love is when he was feuding with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they had such awesome matches with the Dude Love character. And even Mick Foley said that the only time you hear best matches and Dude Love in the same sentence is when it comes to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those guys tore the house down when they had their feud and stuff, and this was when Dude Love was a heel, which was actually very interesting too. So like I said, it is still one of my favorites, just my least favorite gimmick that he's ever done while being in professional wrestling. So anyway, number 4, Santa Claus. I know a lot of people like, what? Santa Claus? But even though he wrestled, I think he only wrestled once as Santa at the tribute to the troops in Iraq when he was wrestling the evil Santa, which was actually JBL. I still like the fact he played Santa, because the fact that he loves Santa, he loves Christmas, I thought it was like a dream come true that he actually portrayed that character. But like I said, you rarely see him wrestle as Santa, but you mostly see him doing like backstage promos as Santa. And sometimes what they did, the makeup with him having a white beard and everything, like not like a beard that you can pull off, but actual white beard, and they made that for him, which is so awesome. to me, and it made me think that, oh my god, he is playing Santa Claus. But with him playing Santa Claus, it's actually very cheerful, especially when he does it in the Christmas time. And I'm just surprised that, you know, with him doing a lot of volunteer work, that he never had the chance. I don't know if he has done it, but I see him going out to like hospitals and schools and, you know, third world countries, and dress up in the Santa Claus outfit and giving some Christmas cheer, because I think he's really good at doing that. But he has done it in wrestling, and that's why he's actually one of my favorite characters that he portrayed in professional wrestling. So I know some people will debate that. I was like, Santa Claus over Dude Love? It's my list, you know what I mean? I already explained why. But anyway, number 3, the second version of Mankind. And this second version, I'm talking about when he was actually really goofy and being, as Edge would like to call him, a Muppet. When he brought with this character, when he was actually wearing like I think a dress shirt and a tie, it was actually a change of pace. Like he was being the corporate Mankind when he was trying to be with Vince McMahon, and then when he was portrayed by Vince McMahon, so that Vince McMahon can give the title to The Rock, we saw like a really good side of Mankind, and also a goofier side. You know, actually we saw a goofier side long before that, especially when he brought in Mr. Sacco and everything like that, which I still think is funny as hell when he brought in the Mr. Sacco. And then till this day, he still uses the sock as his finisher, doing the mandible claw. But it was because of this version that he also became the WWE champion for 3 times actually. And what good matches come up to mind is the very match that inspired me to be a wrestler was the I Quit match between him and The Rock at Royal Rumble 99, I believe. And that was the match that, you know, made me want to be a wrestler, because it told such a great story. Like I said, he's great with the hardcore, but it wasn't just the hardcore that attracted me. It's the fact that he can tell a beautiful story in the match, and even before the match, and building up to the match, and that had a great build up. And as for the character itself, you know, being the goofy and happy-go-lucky Mankind, it was actually interesting to see that after we all remember him as the deranged one kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it was fun. It was actually fun. It actually made me smile when he was being the happy-go-lucky Mankind, even though we see a lot of traces of Mick Foley in there more than anything, you know what I mean, compared to when he first came in as Mankind. But anyway, number 2, I know a lot of people are going to be sharpening their pitchforks and tying up their lynches and stuff like that. I mean, when I say that number 2 is Cactus Jack. I know, you guys are pissed off. You're wondering, how come Cactus Jack is not number 1? He's the best character out of all the gimmicks that Mick Foley has done. Well, it's number 2 because of the fact that, one, there's a lot of versions to Cactus Jack that, you know, I actually love, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you just see a wild man doing hardcore wrestling. You know, when you saw him back in the old days when he was Cactus Jack Manson, you just see that wild man. You know, yes, he told a good story, but not to the point where it's like gripping. You know what I mean? His stuff in WCW, you know, again, wild man, you know, and even though he had great matches with Sting and Vader and all, it still wasn't like, say, hugely gripping. You know, it wasn't like hugely gripping, in my opinion, but there were good matches nonetheless. But I have to say, the only version of Cactus Jack that I felt was very gripping into heart was when he became anti-hardcore in the ECW. And the reason why is because a lot of fans who were fans of the hardcore wrestling and stuff, and seeing his stuff in Japan and stuff, were just so shocked that him, of all people, would actually go against hardcore wrestling. And the fact that it took only one fan to hold up a sign, King Dewey, is what made him want to be anti-hardcore, was just brilliant. And I thought that was a really good, justifiable reason to go against hardcore and ECW all in general and stuff like that. and being the advocate of anti-hardcore wrestling. I thought that was actually awesome. As for him being in the WWE, Cactus Jack in the WWE, I kind of felt that it was just an extension of Mick Foley, to be honest with you. I mean, back in the Attitude Era, it was a lot of extensions of other people's personalities and characters. There weren't really much of the ways of like gimmicks, but for Mick Foley to be Cactus Jack, like I said, it was more like an extension version. He was hardcore, yes, you know what I mean, but like I said, just more of an extension. And one of my favorite matches of all time when he was in the WWE as Cactus Jack was the New York Street Fight at Royal Rumble 2000 against Triple H. I think that was actually one of his best matches, next to, of course, him and Shawn Michaels, him and Edge, him and Randy Orton. I thought that was one of the best matches he ever had in his career in the WWE, and I still watch it till this day. Heck, when I'm doing a hardcore match with somebody, I use that as a reference of how can I actually set the pace so that way it doesn't seem like, you know, people get tired of people getting hit with chairs and stuff like that, and you know, that kind of thing. And I like how Mick Foley as Cactus Jack does that. You know, WCW not so much, but in WWE when he actually knows how to call his spots when it comes to using hardcore weapons and stuff like that, he has it down to a science. Like I said, I love how he tells a story even in a hardcore match. And now my number one character and gimmick that I love seeing Mick Foley do, and I hope he ever does it again, is the very first version of Mankind. Now the reason why I say this is my number one, when I first saw the Mankind character being deranged and stuff like that, rocking and saying a lot of weird stuff, I was literally scared as a kid. I really was scared of Mick Foley when he played Mankind for the first time, being a deranged character. It was actually a wonderful character. It was really gripping. The things he said, the things he does, and the fact that he was so unpredictable is what made that character work so well. And I was actually surprised he never won the WWE Championship while he was doing that version of Mankind. We've seen his best matches, like I mentioned, him and Shawn Michaels at Mind Games was like to him was actually one of his best matches of all time. And of course, who can forget his matches with The Undertaker, being at the time the guy who scored more pinfalls than any other wrestler against The Undertaker. I mean, and like I said, he was so gripping at first, and it reminded me of like a younger version of Bray Wyatt, the way he does his promos and stuff like that, and the mannerism and the way his style was. It reminded me of a young Bray Wyatt. You know, I know people might be thinking, what the heck are you talking about? But if you compare those two together, you would kind of see the comparisons between the two. And if I were to say, if I wanted to see a dream match in today's WWE, it would be the first version of Mankind versus Bray Wyatt. That would be an awesome match. The promos would be awesome. The match would be very violent and brutal, but a story will still be told in that match. Like I said, I kind of felt like, you know, even though I still like the funnier version of Mankind, I kind of wish they didn't, you know what I mean? But I know you have to go with the times and stuff like that. But like I said, I think that was the one gimmick that really put him on the map in professional wrestling, is that Mankind character. I know a lot of people will say, well, his matches in Japan, he's the king of the death match, that's what put him on the map. But think about this. People started saying Foley is God ever since that interview with Jim Ross. And ever since he did that as the Mankind character, that would put him on the map. That's what made him really popular in the whole world, and why people thought of him as God, even though I would say he's good, not God. You know what I mean? So anyway, that is my actual list, and I want to know what you guys think of my list. Do you think it's good? Do you disagree, or do you agree? And what is your favorite Mick Foley characters in any order you want. Like, I like to know what your thoughts on it. Leave a comment down below, tell what you guys think, and we'll see if one goes in there. And like I said, I didn't include Mick Foley because I felt it was just more of an extension, but he's still a wrestler, and there were matches that I did like when Mick Foley was wrestling as Mick Foley. Don't get me wrong, I still like Mick Foley no matter what. It's just the gimmicks and characters, some gimmicks and characters that I prefer over the other. Alright guys, so take care.